Alright. Reman's Club, Salaryman's Club comes off the list. We're down to 10 shows left. This should probably only take me another week or two. Well, 2 weeks at least, because Precure is going to be like 50 episodes. And also 86 is like 22. Because I'm going to have to rewatch the first season of this. But anyway, let's get on to the next entry. 9. Eien no 831. I have absolutely no idea what this is. Let's find out. Okay, apparently I made another oopsie with this one because I guess Eien no 831 is a movie, or I guess more accurately a TV special that then got a theatrical release by Kenji Kamiyama, of all people, the guy who directed Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. But apparently there's no subtitles up on it yet anywhere. So I don't want to remove this from the list just because it's a movie and by Kenji Kamiyama, so I don't want to completely write it off. So for now, I'm just going to move it down here and put it in spring, and we'll come back to that when we get there, I guess. But in any case, let's go back to the randomizer. Let's try it again. 4. Leadale no Daichinite. I have no idea what this one is. I've heard the title around it. I'm gonna guess that it's a fantasy series, just because that looks like a name. A really dumb fantasy name. So let's see if I'm right. Alright, I think that's the last time I'm gonna be ringing that bell this season. Unless there's another one that I've just forgotten about. But anyway, I watched about 4 episodes of Leadale, I think is how you pronounce it. The World of Leadale. And I'm just disappointed. Like, more so than the other 2 isekai from this season, I am just disappointed by the sheer missed potential of this. It'll be probably a couple weeks before this video comes out based on how I'm releasing this, but I just made like a bit of a Twitter thread about how this anime just refuses to be vulnerable. It refuses to linger on some of the kind of heavy topics that it brings up. Like, the premise for this one is this girl is basically hooked up to life support in our world, and her only interactions with the outside world is through an MMO and the character that she created in that. And then a power outage happens, and so her life support goes out and she dies, but her consciousness gets sent into the video game, I guess, but it's also the video game 200 years in the future. And so there's this moment in the first episode where she realizes that she died, that her body died. And it looks like they're about to have like a serious emotional moment about it. It looks like she's about to like come to terms with the fact that she is gone. And that happens for about 5 seconds before they just replace it with like a funny anime face. And after that I was just like, why? Why not lean into that? Why not be vulnerable? Why not take that concept seriously? It's right there. It's all right there. The notion that, like, on the one hand, you just died, and so you have to come to terms with that. But on the other hand, now you're this uber powerful high elf that's basically a god in this world, and you are no longer hooked up to a machine in a hospital and you can actually go around places. Why not lean into those emotions? Why not be sincere? Why not be vulnerable with a character that is so very obviously primed to be vulnerable? Why not have a sincere emotion? And what ultimately led me to drop this series is a resurgence of that in episode 4, where she comes to where it looks like she's about to have like a bit of a moral struggle with the fact that this is no longer a game, this is real life, so when she kills bandits in the game, that is the end of their life. That is them dying. But then she just immediately gets over that just so that we could finish the scene. I want... Take this stuff seriously. Like, I wanted to like this show. The main character is super fucking cute and adorable, and as I just outlined, ripe for amazing character development or just character exploration. Why not take this seriously instead of just speed through this? Just being as bare bones with as possible. And I really shouldn't be surprised. This was animated by Maho Films, which is not a particularly great studio. I forgot who the director is, but I looked at him on Mal, and I've dropped pretty much everything that he's directed. The only thing associated with him that I completed was he was the animation director for that one Pretty Boys fantasy show. I can't even remember the name of it. But so, like, staff-wise, I shouldn't have expected a lot. And it's not a particularly great-looking show, except for the main character's design. She is super fucking cute. But I can't live on just cute anime girls. I would love to. I would love to just live on cute anime girls. They're so... Sorry, it's like 11 p.m. when I'm recording this, but I had to fucking get this out. But I would love to just live on cute anime girls. I would have finished so many shows from this season if I could just live on cute anime girls. But I can't. I want these stories to be taken seriously. Going back to the fucking fantasy bishoujo again, I think Mushoku Tensei has ruined most isekai for me. Like, the fact that they are not taking this seriously, the fact that they are not doing something good, doing something interesting with the premise of being reincarnated into another world. And that's not to say that everything has to be super serious. I still love my comedy isekais like Konosuba and stuff like that. But do something interesting with the fact that you are an isekai. If you have these very potent emotions that are right there for you to grab and do something with, why not do it? Why not? More than anything else from this season, I'm immensely disappointed by Leadale. Just a show that I had absolutely no interest in or any knowledge of before I started watching it a couple hours ago, and now I'm just immensely disappointed by, because it had so much potential that it just didn't do anything with. And that's the end of it. Alright. Leadale is off the list. closing in on the end now. Let's see who's next. 5. Slow Loop. Okay. This is one of the few left on the list that I might actually finish. I need some decent slice of life to unwind after that. Let's hope it's good. Alright, I just finished all of Slow Loop, and that was a pretty dang good time. A lot of stuff that I was not expecting out of this series. For something that I initially described as citrus, but without the incest. So yeah, it's basically this half cute girls do hobbies anime, and that a lot of it focuses on fishing, and then half kind of family building, I guess, or family reinforcing kind of stuff. Because like the premise is 2 high school girls. Their parents marry each other after losing their spouses. And so that's the part of this show that definitely took me off guard, is that this is, unlike, I don't know how this is going to divvy up in terms of like each segment of this seasonal wrap-up show, but unlike something like Leadale, which was very much not vulnerable, very not forthright with its emotions, this show goes the exact opposite route and is just totally open and like extremely vulnerable in terms of the feelings that it conveys, which especially took me off guard because that's not something I'm used to in a slice of life show. I'm used to it being fairly low key, and if there is issues, they're usually very mild issues, not my dad fucking died and I'm still trying to get over the loss of him. And that this show is just so very honest and very vulnerable with the emotions that it tries to convey with these characters who have experienced notable loss, and they are coming together to in a way that allows them to get over that loss. Like this, the rebuilding of this family allows them to become more forward thinking. Allows these characters to move forward instead of just staying stagnant, stuck where they were, as it were. Especially with the main character Hiyori, with the so really enjoyed that aspect of it. Definitely kept me. That was the part that kept me the most engaged about this series. Not to say that the series wasn't engaging overall, because it was. This is definitely a pretty strong instance of a cute girls do hobbies anime. I just don't particularly care about fishing all that much. I've done a bit of fishing when I was younger, like mostly just bait fishing in like rivers and stuff, maybe like a small lake. But I know basically nothing about fly fishing or like going on a boat to fish or anything like that. But this show is Yuru Camp levels of informative about the hobby that it is portraying. So if that's your kind of deal, this is definitely the show for you. I could see fishing enthusiasts who also like cute girls anime definitely getting into this show. And I wasn't bored by these segments either. It's just I've always found fishing as a pastime to be boring in and of itself. So unlike something like, I don't know, camping or other hobby shows, it doesn't quite hold as much interest for me. But I will say that it does go extremely in depth on this particular hobby. Especially in its visuals, like everything is very detailed. The different designs for the fish are very distinctive. Really makes each different species stand out. So that was pretty cool. The general environments are pretty. They're not going to blow you away, but they are pretty solid looking overall. And when it actually gets into some more interesting cinematography, the way characters are framed, the way the color work is done, those standout moments really hit. I think it's like episode 2 or 3. I think it's episode 3 where they're like under like a canopy or something, with the backlight just coming back on them towards the camera, and there's some like pink flowers in the foreground. That shot in particular really stood out to me. I guess I would call this a decent looking show overall. I wouldn't just say it's well. I would call it slightly above average, because I think, honestly, I'm not a big fan of the character designs for this. I think they're super plain and uninteresting. I didn't really vibe with them at all. They felt like very generic, cute girls do cute things, anime character designs. So, wish those had been a little more distinctive. They're not bad designs, they're just super generic, so that part I couldn't really get into. Except for Koi, who is the best character in the show. She's the only one who seemed like to be notably distinctive in her design. And her personality too, I really enjoy. I really enjoy the archetype that is Koi in the show. The cool girl best friend who's also a little snarky and such. It's kind of hard to describe actually what I'm getting at, but if you've seen the show, you know what archetype I'm talking about. I really enjoyed her as a character, and also the way she relates to the other character, to Hiyori and Koharu, our two leads. That was a pretty... I just really enjoyed the character interactions throughout a lot of this show. It was super fun. A lot of stuff about interpersonal relationships and family relationships and stuff like that. A lot of stuff about being confident in your hobbies and the things that you like. Just generally an all-around swell time. I thought this was a pretty good show. It has some limitations, I guess. Not limitations, but some setbacks. Just mostly in the visual range, I guess, just because it's so generic looking at times. But, yeah. Enjoyed this show. It was good. Alright, slow loop is finished. I'm going to take that out. And we're going to put it, where is it? We're going to put it right in here. And we're going to give it a strong 7. A lot of strong 7s so far this year. Might need to do some adjustments as we go along, but we'll get there when we get there. In any case, let's see who is next. Almost done. 4. Orient. Oh boy. Well, here it goes. You know, it's shows like this one that really make me question why I do this. Because, yeah, there are some shows that just kind of come out of nowhere and I had no clue I would like. But then there are shows like this where I absolutely know that I'm not going to like it, and that it's going to look like fucking garbage. So, I think I made it about 7 minutes into the first episode of Orient. If you've been following me on Twitter, you knew that I, read a decent chunk of the manga. I read about 6.5 volumes before I gave up on it, because it was just kind of lame. This is the same author as Magi, by the way, which is a manga that I really like. But this one, not so good. And the anime looks like fucking garbage. This is the most, like, bare minimum effort anime production you could possibly fucking have for an action series. It's so underwhelming, bordering on awful looking. I cannot believe how little interest I have in the visuals of this. It looks so fucking bad. And I debated putting this off until tomorrow, because it's currently like 10 something at night right now, and I debated putting it off till tomorrow because I just got back from seeing Pompo the Cinephile in theaters. And Pompo is one of my favorite anime films of all time, possibly my number one favorite anime film of all time, possibly my favorite film of all time. And a decent chunk of why that is because it is so visually interesting. Now, is it fair for me to compare a 90-minute film to a 12-episode TV series? Absolutely fucking not. But there is a fucking... the gap is way fucking bigger than it should be. Alright? I've already seen stuff from this season like Akebi-chan and Dress Up Darling that tells me that you can make good shit on seasonal anime. Even just not awful looking shit. Like, just okay looking stuff. Like Slow Loop and certain parts of Sabiku Ibisco are... like, that's not a terrible looking show. But... why am I still talking? Why am I still here? Why? Fucking... why? But the reason I didn't... but yeah, the reason I didn't put it off until tomorrow is because I wanted to see just exactly how big that fucking gap would be. Just out of curiosity. I just wanted to see how big the gap is between something that is phenomenal and something that is trash. So now I know. It's awful, and I don't want to think about it anymore. I realized after I closed the camera that I didn't actually talk about any of the story elements for Orient, but now that I think about it, I don't really have anything to say anyway, because it's so generic shonen action that I just could not fucking care. Let's get rid of it. We're getting close now. We're getting close. Let's see what we got next. For again, Sabiro no Armor. No clue what this is. Let's find out. Oh boy, I wish I could recreate for you the face that I just made when I realized that we were dealing with that level of CG. Yeah, this looks like ass. The CG models are super basic and not rendered all that well, and not designed all that well either. The backgrounds look fucking awful. The fight choreography is basically non-existent. Most of it's just cutaways, which is weird. Keep in mind, I'm only like 4 minutes in, but if there's a fight scene in the first 4 minutes, better be a goddamn good fight scene. And this was not. It very much was not. Story is generic as fuck. And all I could think about while I was watching this was, if I was not a Rooster Teeth fan, would I have given Ruby a fair shake? Which is an interesting question for me to ponder. Because, like, I make this series on the assumption that I have to try everything to give it a chance to impress me. Now, that chance has been getting shorter and shorter and shorter as I do more of these seasonal rundowns, but I still think I give it a chance. And I'm just not even going to pretend that there is no bias in the level of chance that I give one series over another. If the premise looks interesting, I might give it a bit more of a chance to get going. if it has a creator that I really like on its staff, I'm going to give it more of a chance to get going because I trust them to make something that I like. If it doesn't have those things, it tends to go in the trash a lot quicker. Do I regret this? Absolutely fucking not. Because really it's more so a matter of me extending the length of something that I'm still going to drop eventually anyway, rather than me shortening the length of something that I might not have dropped. Because there's absolutely no fucking way I would have finished this show. There's no fucking way I would have finished Orient. They look like shit, and the story's not putting forth anything engaging or unique. So I'm just left with the dregs of basically nothing. This has gotten real depressing real fucking quick. I think we should move on. So I went to Mal just to enter that I dropped this show, and that's a hell of a score. Takes a lot of effort to get under a 4.0, but you did it, Rusted Armors. You sure fucking did it. So let's fucking get rid of you and re-roll. We're down to 5 shows. Yeah, we're down to 5 shows. I know I'm going to finish at least 2 of them. One of them being Precure. 2 other ones, these 2 right here, are ones that I might finish. And then I have absolutely no clue what this is. Let's see if we roll for a 3rd time. Nope, it's 3. Irodorimidori, which I believe is some kind of short series. Let's find out what it is. Alright, well I got through 3 episodes of Irodorimidori, which is a series of music shorts. I can't even call them music shorts because they didn't even play any music in these shorts. But I do have to congratulate this one solely on the fact that it did not make me violently angry like the previous 2 entries. It just made me bored. Yeah, this one's it's a K-On! Ripoff of sorts. Bunch of cute girls get together to make a band. But there are 3-minute episodes and there's only 8 of them. So it's basically the length of a single anime episode. Which I was like, okay, maybe I'll just binge the whole thing no matter how bad it is. And honestly, though, I think I would have actually finished it if it was just straight up bad. But this was just straight up boring. It had no substance to it whatsoever. Pretty much all of the characters are the same tropes you've seen 1,000 times before. You got the Genki dumbass. You got the prim and proper one. You've got the hyperactive child with twin tails. You got the kudere. And you've got the one where they decided to cram a bunch of traits together. The shy, big titty girl with glasses. If you're wondering which ones are actually good, you have the kudere. And then the other ones have no personality whatsoever, aside from those traits that I just listed. Because at least the kudere made me laugh sometimes, because her humor is so fucking bizarre. But, it's not an awful looking show, but it is super average looking. There's really not a whole lot going on. Again, this show did not make me upset by its existence like the previous 2. It just left me kind of bored, so we're gonna move on.